But Danny, there's a mini crisis going on here, is there not? There is a mini crisis at Liverpool.
Well, I think we're past talking about all the injuries. We know about that, aren't we? They have had an unusual amount of injuries. It has affected them in lots of ways. There's no doubt about that. For me, the problem they had when they were playing with that lack of intensity and energy was against the teams where I think it was Burnley, Brighton, Southampton, West Brom at home, Newcastle away, Fulham. Games that they normally would win comfortably, especially the home games. You're talking between 10 and 15 points there. Well, 15 points in all those games, 8 or 9 of them at home, which gave them a mountain to climb. And so the analysis of the last 2 games has become even greater because of the poor run previously. The two games they've played in the last couple of weeks against City and Leicester, for 2/3 of both games, they were very good. They were on a par with City till Alisson messed up. They were in the game at 1-1. There's nobody could have predicted a 4-1 when that was at 1-1. Not a chance. It was a very competitive game. They weren't better than City, but they were certainly equal till Alisson had that 10-minute. That madness 10 minutes.
Blip. Yeah.
And then the Leicester game, if you watch the game properly, Liverpool were in control of the game. I mean, Vardy had a couple of chances late in the first half, but Liverpool dominated the game. The control of it was good. Scored the goal. They were comfortable.
Yeah, but Danny, not everybody's agreeing with that. There's Howard from Leicester.
You just asked my opinion, so I'll finish what I'm saying.
Go on.
And then you're looking at individual errors that you can talk about the mindset of Alisson. You can talk about whether he should stay or not stay in the team. But ultimately, you can coach players till you're blue in the face. You can set up a team how you want. You can work as hard as you want. But if you make ridiculous errors that the goalkeeper has in the last 2 games, you will lose goals and you will lose games. But the level of performance for the majority of those 2 games was very good and much better than the month before, the 6 weeks previous.
So you're still giving the thumbs up in terms of level of performance. The fact of the matter is, and I was going to say that Howard from Leicester is saying Klopp, Simon, has failed to adapt. He's got no plan B. They could be 6th tonight.
Yeah, and we can make those headlines, but I think what Danny's saying is Liverpool have been good. They have been good against Man City, and at times they were good against Leicester, but they are not exceptional anymore. They're not playing with a level of intensity. And also, Liverpool strike me as a team that has no punch resistance, no resilience, because they're okay when they're in the game. They're okay when things are going their way. But the moment adversity comes knocking on their door and they have to pick themselves up, it's dreadful that Becker comes out, doesn't call his centre-half, makes his centre-half look like a clown, and between them they can see the second goal. But they're still in the game, but they get worse. Rather than have any resistance to the situation, rather than have any resistance to Becker's first back pass or sideways pass to the Man City player, they fall apart. They fell apart against Leicester. If you look at their front 3, there's no electricity. Firmino looks... I know there's this beautiful move for the goal that Salah scores, but other than that, there's not much from Firmino. I know Danny sort of shot me down in flames last week about Thiago, but I think Thiago hasn't added the value that a player of his quality could and should add to Liverpool, because he's come into a different Liverpool side. I think he's slowed Liverpool down and taken Firmino a little bit out of the picture. I think Salah, Salah's...
Now, I heard you through there muttering about Salah.
Salah's contribution of goals cannot be devalued, but other than the goal, which I know is integral to the winning of a game, his overall performance on the pitch is poor. Look at the third goal. Look at the ball he knocks inside. Sloppy, it gives away the third goal. Yes, they should be able to defend better, but my overall take on Liverpool is that they're good, but they're no longer exceptional, and they've got no resilience. They're almost like a little bit like a flat-track bully expression I use in different guises, because it's okay when Liverpool are putting it up on another side, but when the other side comes back and goes, we're not going to have that from you, Liverpool fall apart.
There you go, Danny. Simon's basically saying they've got a crumble mentality.
Well, the lack of resilience you talk about is there for all to see. I agree to a degree, but you're talking about a lack of resilience with a team not capable of sometimes dealing with the personnel they've got. This ain't the normal Liverpool. When you look at last season when they dominated, or the last 2 years of a level of performance, the amount of times they came back from when they went a goal down, or the amount of times they won games in the last 5 and 10 minutes was unbelievable. And that's because they had their best players on the pitch. Now, unfortunately, the way football is, if you haven't got your best players, especially your best defenders on the pitch, you are going to become vulnerable and a bit...
but they're capitulating, Danny. I understand the need to defend something.
Capitulating in what way? Because Man City game, 4-1. Okay, let's analyse it. 1-1. Alisson makes 3 horrendous errors for the next 3 goals, especially the next 2. OK, Foden smashed one above his head, which he should have saved. But the other 2, bad basket. What can you do when your keeper gives the ball away to a team like City in the defensive third? Capitulation, that's not capitulation. That's an individual nightmare for the goalkeeper against City. Now, the Leicester game, again, 1-1 is not a capitulation. Then he makes the horrendous error. At 2-1 down with 5 minutes to go, you are going to throw your full-backs forward. At 2-1 down, you're going to throw your midfielders forward. You're going to try and get back in, and they got done on the counter by one of the best counter-attack sides in the league, with Harvey Barnes, who's one of the quickest wingers in the league. So you've got to analyse it for what it is. Now, I'm not suggesting Liverpool are anywhere near the levels they were last season. What I'm saying is that I wouldn't be as concerned with the forthcoming games as some people are making out, because certain parts of the games large parts of the games against City and Leicester, who are very good opposition, Liverpool look more than competitive and more than comfortable. Now, I agree, if the luck's going against them and they're conceding goals and they don't get themselves together quickly, the confidence could be drained and they could start losing more games. But they still have enough quality and enough wisdom in that side, irrelevant of all the injuries, to be competitive in the forthcoming games against Leipzig, Everton, whoever else they've got to play. I still think Liverpool will finish top 4.
Top 4.
I don't disagree with him, because I think the competency and quality of the side is still there. But the central point is, I don't agree with Danny that they're not capitulating. I look at that third goal, and it was just, I look at them trying to get back in against Leicester. There was no quality, there was no movement, there was no energy, no vitality, and no real belief in that side. And I look at the third goal, and it's just sloppy all the way through.
Sloppy. It was sloppy.
It's sloppy, and Liverpool looks sloppy. I understand, but both of the fullbacks look poor. I understand that you'll say, well, when you take away their anchor, you take away their ability to be able to play in a certain way because you lose integral players like Virgil van Dijk. But they adapt. When adversity comes on, and I know you're going to say Becker gave away and you can't legislate for it, and I agree with that. But by the same token, they still... last week you made the argument the Man City set up to contain Liverpool and played in a certain way, which allowed Liverpool to look a certain way. The moment the Man City got an opportunity to go on the front foot, they made Liverpool look pedestrian. They forced those errors out of Liverpool at certain times because Liverpool were already banking up in a certain way.
Danny, some Liverpool fans agreeing with us, some not, incidentally. But as always, because of the man you are, having played for the club, you get the utmost respect. By the end of tonight, though, the fact of the matter is simple. Liverpool could be 6th in the Premier League table. Now, is that good enough? When you consider where are we at now, we're at February the 15th. Surely that can't be good enough.